Yeah, this is really weird. I'm glad I love you.
You're glad we like each other, or else this would have just been so awkward.
Thank you, Heather,
It's
for
all
just providing our opener for the podcast.
Exactly.
This is really awkward. You're lucky I like you.
Welcome back to Bearded Bible Brothers. We're glad to have you with us today. Today we've got our better halves with us, as we've been alluding to for the past few episodes.
Alluding, threatening, whatever. We let them on even though they're non-bearded.
Right.
After we let your buddy John on and he didn't have a beard, all right, we can bring the ladies in.
No, they can be the pretty ones. They can be our pretty ones.
Hey, what are you saying?
You're pretty too. You're all pretty. It's
Thank
all.
Aww.
This is going to be a long hour. I'm just kidding.
He's very tired, so you're gonna hear a lot of comedians.
Wow, right out the gate. Right out the gate. Well, our audience already knows that from our comedic moments episode
Mhm.
that you call me out every time that I'm tired, and because I start quoting movies and comedians.
Yep.
Mhm.
All right.
Yep, we sure did. And we reminisced about when I came down and the hilarity that took place later in the evenings.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Always fun filled. So, but anyways, so I want to kick this off with an interesting question. Christy, what was one feature of his proposal to you that you liked so much?
Ooh, I want to know what you were gonna say.
I was going to say, I don't know that you can answer that without telling the whole proposal story.
Then we might as well hear it.
Oh, okay. I should have known I was gonna tell a lot of stories. Yeah.
We have a
Alright.
lot of good stories together.
Well, yeah. I'm just not very good at telling them.
I beg to differ.
Thank you.
I beg and plead to differ.
Let's see. Proposal. We went to where my sister lives in Tucson, and I think there was sushi involved. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So we went out to sushi for dinner. Afterward, we went to this really cool place. I don't even know where it is in Tucson. It's kind of in the hill area, near Mount Lemon, maybe?
Yeah, it's like up in the mountains. You were wearing a dress that you had bought earlier that day at Goodwill
At Goodwill.
because you hadn't brought any fancy clothes at all.
I didn't think it through.
And your sister was helping me to do the whole plan. So she's
Yeah.
like, "No, you have to buy a dress while we're here."
So I should add, my sister was with us the entire time. So she went to dinner with us. It was really just supposed to be like a fun dinner out with my sister while we were visiting in town. So
Okay.
we all went to Goodwill earlier in the day.
Which is not bizarre.
No.
We go thrifting and Goodwill hunting and all the time in Scottsdale or Tucson, excuse me.
that too.
Yeah, Scottsdale too. But
Yeah. So we go up to this place. There's supposed to be really cool fire pits that they have there that overlook the whole city. And they wanted to time it to where we'd be there at night, so you see all of the lights of the city. And there was this point, we got a table and it was inside. It was kind of like a casino or hotel of some kind.
it was like a big fancy resort hotel,
Okay.
no casino.
Oh, well, where I grew up, that was like hand in hand.
Touche.
Sorry. So I excuse myself to go to the bathroom, and when I come back, I'm just, looking around, and my eyes happen to rest on this guy's cargo pants.
Okay, I gotta set the scene first.
Okay.
So Elise and I are sitting at one of those high top tables,
Uh-huh.
and it's on a lower level here, but you enter at the upper level and they have big sweeping staircases on both sides. And then balconies and lookouts on either side. Now, I knew that I was going to propose, and so I invited her parents to be there. So so Christy, her sister, and I walk in, go down the stairs, and get one of the high top tables. Meanwhile, her parents are sitting up in one of the balconies to overlook the whole thing. When Christy goes off to the restroom, she goes this way, opposite the balcony. So when she's coming back, I noticed that her eyes, I guess I'm telling the story now.
No, but you do a great job.
Okay. I
what
totally
said?
stole it. I apologize.
No, don't worry about it.
But I noticed that her eyes are not looking at her sister and I. They're looking up over our heads to where I know her parents are. And they are, no joke, they are holding comedic newspapers completely unfolded in front of them, like they're looking for, like it's a map and they're looking for where they are.
Like in the old spy comic strips.
Yes, you almost expect to see two little eye holes in each one.
So I'm walking back and I see, first of all, my attention is attracted by these weird,
ridiculous newspapers.
weird newspapers. And then I see that the gentleman of the group has cargo pants just like my dad. I'm like, that's weird. I guess they sell that kind of pants to everybody, so it's just a weird coincidence.
I didn't want her knowing that her parents were up there, so I call out to her at like an awkwardly long distance to try and draw her attention back down from up in the balcony. So she comes back, and her sister had warned us that she was on call for work the whole day.
Yeah.
And we had set it up that was going to be her exit moment. She's
Oh,
going to get a call from
Okay.
work. And she had the foresight to, I thought she was just going to pretend to get a phone call, answer it, and walk away. What she had actually worked out was that her mom up in the balcony was going to call her. So she had gone into her contacts and changed it from mom to work.
Oh, wow. This is dedication.
No,
You're getting specific
thought it
here.
through. So work called, and she had intentionally left her phone sitting out on the table, and so we all see it and we go, oh, bummer.
Yeah.
And so Elise gets up, takes the call, goes up the stairs. And so Christy and I are left at the table, and we're making the smallest of small talk, like, well, good thing we hadn't ordered dessert yet, and all this kind of stuff, because I'm buying just a little bit of time to wait for Elise to get up the stairs and over around to where her parents are. And then
Yes.
I kind of want you to tell the rest of it at this point.
Okay. So at that point, he starts to stand up, and then I start to nervous sweat.
Totally fair.
No, I think I know where this is going. And he stands up and then has me stand, because they are very tall chairs.
They were tall chairs.
Very tall. It would have been strange, but so he has me stand up.
It would look like I was tying your shoe or
It
something.
would. It would have been strange. He kneels down, asks. I of course say yes. You notice he was very sure I would say yes. Invite the family, all of that, but it was very.
She had told me like 2 months prior, 6 months prior, her ring size, and then 2 months prior, just whenever you're ready, I'll say yes. So really, there was no doubt.
Yeah.
We could make it a big shindig with no risk at all.
Right. For the sake of the listeners, I wanted to make it clear, like,
There you go.
he's being very forward with
No, I'm not that courageous.
Oh, yeah, you are. So I, of course, say yes. And then he turns me around and shows me up in the balcony. My parents are there. Like, you
And
guys.
they've got the biggest smiles and they're waving.
Are they waving
My
newspapers
first
at
thought
you?
was, oh, those were my dad's pants.
You weren't crazy.
I wasn't crazy. So that was my favorite part, the cargo pants part, I guess.
Yes.
The cargo pants. I love it.
But we had to tell the whole story because you asked what was your favorite part. And if
This
she
is
just
true.
said, my dad's cargo pants. That would have been super weird.
It would have, yeah. That's true.
Now I kind
Very.
of regret that we didn't do that, but that's okay.
Well, there's always edits.
Okay, yeah. We can try
Here, for posterity. My dad's cargo pants.
it. There you go.
We could always do like that editing where they take, the end
yeah.
first. Like, so
Yeah.
what's, you answer the question. Well, my dad's cargo pants. Well, 5 minutes before.
Yes.
Oh, fun is had by all. That's fantastic. Okay, so I'm kind of going somewhere with these questions because one of the other questions I wanted to ask you, because I think when I was down there, I asked you this question. I can't remember, but first time you saw him, first time you saw this lumberjack of a man, what was the first thought that went through your head?
Keep it clean.
What?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Okay, it is definitely like
Wow, I didn't expect that, but okay. My first thought was, oh, so this is the guy that will sign my timesheets. That's it.
that's what I thought the answer was. Yes.
Your honesty is so
Fantastic.
brutal.
He was
My dad's cargo sheets and my timesheet.
cargo
Cargo
sheets?
yes, cargo sheets. I just realized that as well.
It's all right.
Cargo pants.
Mhm.
Is that going to be the name of your memoir? Dad's cargo never mind. How about you guys tell a story? Because apparently I can't tell anything now.
Well, we could tell the story of how we got engaged. You want to tell part of it or all of it or what?
Not all of it.
Okay, she'll tell her part of it, and I'll tell my part of it.
Well,
So
hopefully you were both involved.
we would certainly hope so, right? Let's see here, and we
It was
would
a normal day that I had already scheduled plans with other people.
right. This is true,
Mm.
and so
Mm.
I like things organized. I like knowing, like I have things. It's like, hey, I'm busy. I'm meeting with a friend.
right.
So go ahead.
Okay, so for me, the day started. I was house sitting, and I headed out to go meet with her. And I got down the road a ways, and then I realized I'd left my wallet behind. And I'll explain the significance of that
No, but what about
little bit
dinner?
later.
Are you bypassing the dinner part? Because you didn't forget your wallet to go get dinner.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
You want to include the dinner?
Yeah.
Okay, let's include the dinner because this is kind of funny too. Okay, so a few weeks prior, you gave something to my brother.
Oh, no, it was actually before we were like dating. His brother
Oh,
was
that was
supposed to
before we
like
dated,
help me
yeah.
hang a ceiling fan, and I wasn't going to be there because I was going to be at work, but I knew I could trust the family. So I was like, here's a key because no one's going to be there. Might as just go hang the fan and I'll come home to a hung fan. Right. So I never had like gotten the key back. So somehow or another, he manages to get the key from his brother. So I never gave him a key to our first house. He literally commandeered access to my house.
He just always had one.
Yeah. Yeah, he just took it from his brother. I never gave it to him.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So then he came over and brought one of my favorite
Well,
restaurant foods over.
yes, but so before when he got a hold of the key, the moment I found out about it, I said, okay, so I'm going to need you to agree with me on something. That when I say I need the key, that you just trust me and let me have the key. He says, I don't know, man. Are you going to be good with Heather? Are you going to be treating her well? And all I said, come on, don't do that to me. You know what I'm referring to. He goes, yeah, I do, which is why I'm trying to bust you up anyways. I was like, oh, okay, thanks a lot. So anyways, I told him the day prior, I need the key. That morning, I go to his house. He goes, "Oh, I forgot the key." I said, "It's here at their house, isn't it?" He goes, "No, I left it somewhere." I was like, "That's not cool, dude." So he's freaking me out thinking that the key's missing. And then lo and behold, he opens his hand and he says, "Man, you are gullible." And he puts it in my hand. I was
Thank you
like,
for editing.
"Yeah, you're welcome." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So I get the key. I was house sitting at the time for some friends of mine. And we had plans for we had evening plans for sure. We were going to go to a play. Well, what Heather doesn't know is that I had plans for dinner. So I managed to get Cafe Rio and
Red Robin.
Oh, Red Robin. I'm sorry. You're
Two of
right.
my favorite places.
Yes, Red Robin and Cafe Rio.
At the time.
Right.
My tastes have improved.
True. I would agree to that. They have definitely improved. It was okay. But I managed to get into her house before she got home from work. I got everything set up on her table. I locked the door and then I waited. And the moment she steps in the house, I could hear her gonna go, "What?" Because she can look from you can see from the door, the kitchen, the table. And so I had it completely laid out with Red Robin, a tulip in the middle of it. Oh, so sweet and romantic. Yeah, I said it. So
somebody broke into my house and set up a dinner for two.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. So I come out from the kitchen area and I said, "Surprise." And she goes,
I don't remember. Things got better. I remember those parts.
Well, she had plans to actually go hang out with somebody and eat dinner with them. But I had already arranged with them. And so they knew that they were going to be expecting her phone call. So they weren't going to be too disappointed. But they still got to have dessert, I believe is what you guys said.
Yeah, we did something.
Yeah. So we had dinner. She went off to hang out with her friends. And then I was going to come back later in the night to pick her up. And I was going to come over and then we were going to walk over, to a community outdoor theater.
Yeah.
Stage.
It was like a mile away. It was in the park right by the condo. And so we had planned to walk over because it's a nice walk.
Right.
Nice.
So earlier in the day, I'm running around and I also call up her best friend. And she was the last person and I kind of waited last minute. But I did call her and ask her, "Hey, do you mind if I ask Heather to marry me?" And she goes, "Well, it's about time." So, but one of the things I was noting about the day is that driving down the interstate, there was just so much wind going on. There was trash flying through the air, lots of dirt, lots of dust. It was kind of wild. So I get halfway down to her place when I realize my wallet's missing. Well, the importance of that is, and the interesting connection with that is that me and every one of my brothers all forgot our wallets the night we proposed to our wives. So it's just kind of this weird Marshall thing to where we just happened to leave our wallets behind. So in each and every case, it actually changed the dynamic of what we had planned. So we were going to walk. Well, I get there and we're going to have to drive at this point. So I get Heather into her seat and get her door open and get her inside and get her door closed. I go around and I open my door and I'm getting in and the blustery wind blew in my door, hit me in the head. My head went into the door frame and it started doing this, kind of like a pinball. And I slump into the driver's seat. My head just feels weird. I feel like I'm going to throw up. And she goes, "Are you okay?" I was like, "I think I need to take a second." So we just sat there for a minute. And I was like,
"Oh gosh."
We would have been late if we had walked. That was the dilemma now.
True.
Head injury or being on time.
Yeah. So we I got us over there. And by the time I got us over there, I was not feeling well at all. So I called an aunt of mine who's a nurse, and she goes, "Okay, then there's 3 things you need to do." Okay. I said, "All right, what's that?" She said, you need to get some aspirin in you. You need to drink some water, and you need to be still and just relax. I said, okay, got it. I did not tell her that we were at an outdoor theater with metal bleachers watching the stage show Nonsense, which is probably one of the funnest stage shows I've ever seen. And so
He might be slightly biased because of this event, but it is still really good.
it is good. But the part is that I'm sitting there on the metal bleachers laughing my butt off while at the same time going, my head hurts every time I laugh. But the part that really made it durable was that I had my hand in my pocket fiddling with a little box. So we get done with the play.
Oh, well, no, you tracked, I'm sorry. You tracked down someone to give you, and like, he doesn't even drink soda. And all they have is a soda. So he's drinking a soda instead of water. Somebody had some aspirin in their car,
Sure.
you know, and they ran to go find it. You know, it was one of those things. And we only got to watch half the show because the storm blew in and stopped the show.
That's right.
Oh my
So he did get a little reprieve because it was only half. And then we headed back to my house.
Right. Now we had set up, even when we were dating, a curfew, so to speak. And so it was, sometimes have differing opinions on it, but I'm pretty sure it was going to be 10 o'clock.
I think we usually
10,
between 10 and 10:30 was like the cutoff.
Right. And so I get us to the car by 10:15, I think I remember, get us over to the apartment, the condo, and she sits. Now I have this whole thing planned, right? But she sits down in her nice little comfy pleather chair.
It was a really nice chair.
I would agree.
You know, it was my first house. I owned it. And it was like the only piece of furniture I really bought that was like legitimate was this one comfy chair. No, so it was my favorite chair.
Oh yeah.
So she sits down in the chair. Now I was sitting on the couch, and I managed to slip that little box down into the mattress.
The cushions.
I said mattress.
Yeah,
Cushions. And so
small mattresses that you sit on. It works.
Well, these were extra large cushions. So
See, there you go.
Yeah.
Size cushions.
But I had planned, okay, so she is the first woman I've ever danced with. And had it not been for my mother at our wedding, she would have been the only person I've ever danced with. But that's okay. It was a good dance with my mother, and it was a good dance with my wife too. So I had planned, all right, I'm going to get her up. I'm going to dance with her. I'm going to pretend like my shoelace is undone, and then I'm going to have to bend down, tie it. I'm going to just be so smooth, right? I'm going to reach right into that cushion, pull out the box, and pop goes the question. Well,
please tell me that you didn't keel over because you had a concussion.
No.
No, I did not. But if there's one thing that I had heard many men, unfortunately, and I'm going to say it was unfortunate to hear this from a lot of men, was that they thought that they would have had to been out of their minds to propose. Well, I technically was out of my mind, and yet I was still very intent on going through with it. So since she wasn't getting up and dancing with me, I decided, okay, well, I'll just sit down.
Yeah, in my head, it was just, clock's ticking. Night's over. Yeah, I'm just gonna sit here.
She was done.
Yep.
She was
you
done.
dancing by yourself?
No, I just said no.
I should have done that, actually. That would have been funny. But I did something I thought was even funnier. I sat down on her lap.
Ouch.
Of course you
Oh
did.
my!
And then I asked her,
romantical.
oh, very, very.
It's romantic. Thank you.
Whatever.
So I said, you sure you don't want to dance? She goes, I can't.
I can't feel my legs.
That's right. So I'm sitting there and I'm just thinking about it, and I'm going, you know what? I might as well just do it. So I get down, I actually said out loud, well, I might as well just do this. I get down on my knee, grab out the box, open it up, and says, Heather, will you please marry me? And it probably took maybe 10 seconds for the look on her face to actually change to, oh, yes, I will. And why is that?
Because I was incredibly surprised, and I'm not often surprised. Kind of like you noticed your dad's cargo shorts. Like,
Yeah.
I'm usually extremely observant and find the little pieces along the way, right? Like, it's really hard to surprise me. I'm the person who can look at my kid and go change your clothes. That's what you wore to bed. And they're like, how do you know that? I'm like, 'cause I just remember. I just know. Like there's just things I just pick up on and I see, and it's just really hard to surprise me. So the fact that I was surprised me.
So I truly stunned her. I asked her to marry me, and she said yes. And what would have been me leaving minutes later turned into a midnight departure because we were on the phone with so many people. Because even her best friend said, "You better have her call me when you are done." I said, "Yes, ma'am, got it." So we had all sorts of people to talk to that night, and it was absolutely fantastic. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, but like you guys, like we had already discussed marriage. We had like figured out the whole ring thing. We had already like all of that was already established. So it was just a matter of when, not like
Right.
will she say yes?
Yeah.
We had already agreed.
We were actually looking in antique shops, actually. And we just couldn't find anything we really wanted because what she wanted was
No, I didn't know what I wanted.
you wanted something with red.
No, you decided that that's what I wanted, and I agreed.
And then you said,
Because I liked it. Because I didn't know. I was not the
That's
person
the
who
summary
like
of marriage, ladies and gentlemen.
like I
One
really
party
didn't know what I
decides
wanted.
The other party wants, and the other one's like, yeah, all right.
I had no idea. I was not the person who dreamed about wedding dresses. I was not the person who dreamed about rings. He's like, well, you want a ruby, right? And I was like, oh, that'd be pretty darn cool.
oh,
Like,
you know,
yeah.
hold on. I gotta take issue with something you just said. I don't dream
About
that
wedding
sort of
dresses
thing.
and
Oh,
what?
okay.
What did I?
She
You
did
had
say
a
about
dream.
wedding dress.
Oh, yes.
You did have a dream.
Oh, don't go there. That's
We-
too far back in history.
We have a fascinating story with that, but we'll move on.
So I have a question. Was the desire for it to be a ruby, is there any connection between that and the Lady in Red story?
I know. I thought of that
Yes.
too. I wondered.
I mean,
Yes,
from his
okay,
side, yes,
so
but
you
red is
don't-
just my favorite color.
It is.
Oh,
It is her
You
favorite
don't
color.
have to tell the whole story. I'm perfectly happy to leave it for our listeners as you have to buy Josiah's book for like $1 on Amazon in order
You know
to
what?
find out the Lady in Red story.
I'll put it this way. Well,
I don't know.
I'll put it this way. So she said my dad's cargo pants. I will say Heather's outfit. That'll work.
There we
Okay.
go.
Okay.
Yeah. All
Heather's
right.
camping outfit. That'll be more descriptive. Yeah.
There you
Heather's
go.
camping outfit. That was actually it.
The book
Still-
sales are a surge.
Yeah. It's going to go up to 15.
Oh, I love it. There you go.
Right. So how long have you guys been married now?
We just hit 8 years a couple months ago.
Hmm.
And you guys
And-
are in your teens of years, right?
Yeah. We just celebrated 13. Just a few.
You just
What?
became teenagers together.
Teenagers.
Oh.
Yes, we did.
Yes,
So
indeed.
your wedding can have a bar mitzvah.
Or a bat mitzvah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking forward to the day that we are married longer than I was alive without us being married.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that would be 25 years for me.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Although it's kind of funny because when you get married and it's maybe been just a few, I remember doing it on our honeymoon, looking at you and saying, I cannot remember my life without you.
Yeah, the weird like superimposing yourself in like their history. But like I don't even know how it works, but like my brain does it.
Yep.
And there I was at your first steps.
It's like, you know, we're watching
I
some
took this
videos.
photo at your graduation.
Creepy.
But it feels like that. It feels like you were there in some weird way.
Yeah,
Like that's not
yeah.
really explainable.
Yeah.
This is true. This is very true. And we've had some fascinating ideas about things that's happened over time. But I was wondering, what was the first thing you guys learned about marriage that you guys, the first thing you guys learned about marriage? What was the first real lesson you guys had to come to?
Okay, I need
guys
you to
got married?
clarify the question because I think everybody learns a lot about marriage from watching their parents and stuff.
No,
So do you mean
after
on the
you
job
got married.
training?
Yeah. I'm meaning on the job. After you guys have the wedding ceremony and everything, what was the first real lesson you guys learned?
That's a good question
Mm-hmm.
that you should answer first.
Oh, were we the so eloquent? Let's see.
Dad's cargo pants.
Dad's cargo
Cargo pants.
Yeah, that's my answer the whole time. Cargo pants.
I know what I'm entitling this episode.
Cargo
Right?
pants and other thoughts.
Yeah, and other miscellaneous marital
There we
thoughts.
go.
Thoughts on marriage. Cargo
And,
pants and marriage.
Yes.
In 3 weeks, no joke, in 3 weeks, we're going to be driving somewhere, and she's going to be riding shotgun and giving me directions. And I'm going to ask, is it left or right up here? And she's just going to look at me and say, pants.
What?
Just to make me laugh.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could do that.
I thought it was don't be a lasagna.
Don't be lasagna. That's classic.
Yes.
Oh man, Doctor Who fans out there.
I was going to make a Doctor Who reference with Clara going into the timeline and being with all of the doctors at all points of the history, but I decided not to.
Oh, I don't remember that one.
Okay, anyway.
But remind me to tell you a story about God using Doctor Who as an example in my life, because that was fun. But
It was awesome.
let's get back to the subject at hand.
Which one was that again?
So you remember the time we were walking home from the grocery store?
Ooh.
Oh,
yes.
should I not bring
No. This is, yeah, go ahead.
It was our first real fight.
Big fight.
Oh,
And we
yeah.
didn't really fight. It was, we would have minor tiffs,
Yeah.
but we were both so codependent that we made sure we never fought.
Well, and when we would fight, we would simmer, kind of. You don't really, if you walk in the room, it's tense, but you don't hear anything. And it's a simmering kind of fight. So we were, of course, walking home in silence because we're both simmering. And we get home. It was a short walk from the grocery store to our apartment. And we get home, and Matt is just beside himself. And I don't really understand what's going on, but I feel like the Lord gave me just this one simple idea. He's afraid that you're going to leave. And so I was sitting there on the couch, and I look at him and I said, you know, I'm never going to leave, right? And that was the thing that I think really helped us both was, you know, leaving is never on the table. I'm not going to take off. I expect you'll never take off either. And that was a huge thing for us. It turned out to be really big.
Yeah, absolutely. Ditto.
Okay.
Yep.
We had some interesting things happen when we were walking. I remember it wasn't quite a life lesson, but we were walking to a what do you call those things before a football game?
A pregame.
Oh,
Tailgate.
okay, pregame tailgate.
Yeah.
And we were. Let's see. I actually recall we were on the south side of the road, walking east up to the pregame area, and we were talking about kids' names. It was about roughly 3:45 in the afternoon, and it was for a Utah. It was
I
a Ute
love
game.
the amount of unnecessary specificity with which you tell stories. Not just this one.
Hey, so no.
Can you tell us?
I've had to put up with this
pressure
for
and the wind speed?
13 years. The unnecessary. It's like, no, those details don't matter. They don't matter. You can skip ahead. They don't matter. But no, I know them all.
But it's kind of fun because it's like a cliffhanger. Like,
Yeah.
oh, South Side. Is that going to be relevant somehow?
You know that's
Okay.
No,
Is that-
matters not.
No, I don't. No. Do I?
a little tiny bit. Because whenever you're telling me a story, you choose a cliffhanger point to like backtrack a little bit and fill in a little detail.
Oh, but I do that
And
on
I'm just
purpose.
like, and then what happened?
Or I'll take a bizarrely long drink of water right in the middle. No, that's intentional. But it's not just like random details. Like
I'm gonna name my ulcers after you.
This
Somebody
one is
else.
husband. This one is Matt. This one is
Danny. This one.
Okay, we totally hijacked
Sorry,
your story.
sorry.
It's okay. Apparently, it was 3:45 in the afternoon.
Okay.
Walking eastbound on the southern side of the road.
Yes, matters not.
And she's naming my tumors.
Oh, yeah.
So anyways,
Tumors.
Oh, no.
Ulcers.
she's
Ulcers.
got ulcers. I'll get tumors.
What?
I don't know. It's late and we're being slap happy. So, anyways, we were walking along. We were talking about kids' names, and Heather mentioned a name that she always wanted to name a daughter.
Oh no. So the backstory is in Utah. There's a lot of genealogy, which I actually had to do in school. And when I did that, I found out that like my second great grandmother, her name was Carly, Karlie. And I just went, I like that. I'm going to file that one away. That's a good name. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're walking up and I was like, hey, so like I had this random piece of information to share with you. It's what I'm thinking. It's a random piece of information. By the way, I've always liked the name Carly. And instantly I was Carly Elizabeth. And I went, oh, okay. No children were on the table at this point.
None. But we it was a good conversation because it was a name that I always thought for a daughter, but it just sounded with Carly, it just sounded very prestigious, very, social, had good social standing, so to speak. But we had some interesting events happen when we were walking. As a matter of fact, I remember we held hands for the first time walking to a Navajo opera symphony. And it was, that was the first time we held hands. That was
also on the University of Utah campus. Sorry, we didn't actually live on campus, so this is kind of ironic, right? Like these stories keep happening there.
But we both were students at the U at one time, not actually together. Nope, you were before me. But let's see, what was our first big lesson?
I learned how to wake him up from sleepwalking.
Oh, what?
I assume
it's
you
like,
don't do it gently and right in front of him because that sounds like it could turn violent.
no, he's pretty not coordinated when he's sleepwalking. Like,
I don't think most people are.
it was pretty entertaining. It got to the point where I didn't even know what to do because like this wasn't working. And like it was like wake up,
slapping my face.
No, well, there was not this much here. That
Okay.
But our listening audience, our audience also knows about the stories of him reciting scripture in Klingon and stuff like this. So he's a heavy sleeper no matter what.
Yes, this is him upright, walking around, trying to take a shower, not successfully. Okay. Like, what do you do when someone is asleep in the shower?
You too, buddy.
How do you wake someone up? So the one thing that came to my mind was cold water. I'm like, he's already in the tub. Like, at least it won't be a mess, right? So like I go to the kitchen, I get a cup, the biggest cup I have, which was tiny. I don't know why I didn't have a big cup, but like the small little like 8-ounce cup of cold water. And go and I like dump it over the shower curtain so that he doesn't see me coming, and finally he wakes up.
Oh my gosh.
So,
I remember it. I actually remember waking up because I actually made a note of this. Already me and my specificity. So I made a note to remember that.
You made a mental note the moment you became conscious?
No. Later that day. Later.
Yeah.
Like you woke up going, I feel a disturbance in the force.
Oh my God. Does that count as a movie reference?
No.
yes.
I'm trying to keep track for the listening audience.
I got you for basic food groups. Okay, so I
made a mental note.
I made a mental note that I was walking down a hallway, and I want to say it was at work because at that time I was finishing up my hospitality career at a hotel nearby, and I thought I was walking down that hallway, and then I remember just stopping and staring at the wall for some strange reason. I'm staring at the wallpaper But then the next thing I knew, my eyes open and I'm looking at the wall of the shower, screaming out.
Yeah, he
In
did.
Klingon.
So it was, that was actually that was actually a big lesson to learn, because you not only just this. Well, I remember one time I got up out of you told me the next morning that I got out of bed, started putting on my clothes, walked out of our room, came back in, and you said, "What's going on?" Do you remember that?
Oh, the things you have done in the middle of the night. Like, we need 7 episodes. And the worst part though is I'm usually tired. So it's like in the morning, like, you did something. What do you mean you did something? Like, you did. Because I'm so tired. Like, committing it to memory is hard. But
I want to see a spoof of that scary movie. What is that?
Which one?
The one where it's basically shot from security cameras. Oh, I don't remember it. But anyway, I just want a movie of Josiah sleepwalking and security camera footage. His antics.
Well, you guys already know that I'll talk. We actually had a conversation one night, you told me.
oh, we've had several.
Okay. We've had more than one.
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, are you actually awake? And you kind of like fumble with that question.
I do?
Yeah, like,
Okay.
well, yeah. And I'm like, okay,
That's
you're
when the spinning
asleep.
top starts to wobble.
I remember realizing, though, the moment that I had passed that on to Carly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She definitely has some sleep, talk, walk tendencies.
The first moment I realized that she was maybe, a month old. And you look at a month. Well, when she was a month old, she looks like she was actually 6 months old. She was a big girl, but she would laugh in her sleep. And it was the cutest things. And it was just so cute. We got it on video too, but it was just that moment of realizing, okay, so we definitely established that. But if there was, oh boy, I remember us when we were soon after we got married, we started going through our movies together. We started with the A's, and we're going to go to the Z's. We never had that happen. But if there was one thing that we learned a lot about each other about, was through Star Wars Legos.
Oh yeah, we played a lot of Star Wars Lego video game on the Wii.
Yeah.
Just because I didn't even like Star Wars, but Star Wars Lego was fun.
It was. And I actually remember one night, it was incredibly memorable. We actually made homemade cheese bread. And we just sat and played video games. But what I appreciate, the lessons, the way that God really used that was just to help both of us learn how each of us operate, how we think, how we can or cannot communicate. And so, because when you're doing it on the Wii, you kind of have to stay in screen. You can't, they don't split, and you can't go one way or the other. You actually have to say, no, get your butt over here so I can actually get these studs. So
it's working together.
It's working together. Absolutely. So that was definitely one thing God used to communicate to us. But I was wondering, since you mentioned it, I got to ask Christy, how did God use Doctor Who for you?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So
this doesn't pertain to our relationship necessarily, does it?
No.
Oh, it's just a fun story. Okay.
Yeah, like he uses anything at all.
Right.
Even Doctor Who. So Matt had passed along this really very good but very difficult sermon from a Ugandan pastor.
Oh, this was recent.
Yeah. So
I'm along for the ride here. I don't know where this is going.
Oh no. It revealed an aspect of God's character that I had not yet come to terms with. And it felt kind of like God was this cold, distant being again. Like I hadn't felt this way in a decade. And this was only a few months ago that I was going through this, and I was kind of coming to terms with, I feel like I don't know you anymore, and I have been so close to you. I've lost all of that now, and what kind of ground have I lost here? And so we were just kind of going through the motions. One night we decided to watch Doctor Who, and I had been dragging my feet on watching the 12th Doctor, I think, because he's the old man.
And we both really liked Doctors 10 and 11.
Yeah, and it just kind of, it was a change that I didn't like at the time, and I never enjoyed, but Matt had been watching him and said, no, this is good, trust me, he's Scottish, he's funny.
He has a very dry sense of humor, and he says hilarious things with a completely deadpan straight face.
Yeah.
Such as a lasagna. Was he the one that came up with the lasagna one?
Yes.
Don't
be lasagna.
And he's right. It is very good. I appreciate that a lot. But we were watching one episode that I think it was the first of Dr. 12. And we finished the episode, and spoilers, we get to the end where the main companion has just been with Doctor number 12, and he, I don't know, went off or something. And then she gets a phone call through the TARDIS from Doctor 11. And he's basically telling her, it's still me. I'm still him. Just be gracious with him. And God taps me on the shoulder after that, and he's like, see? It's still me.
Yeah.
It's just a different part of my character you didn't know, but I've always been there, and I'm still here. And that was weird that he chose to use pop culture references, but I guess it's not really weird.
Not really. He did it when he was walking the planet, so he used pop culture all the time.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So I'm curious. We've had lessons we've learned, and I'm sure we could talk about many lessons that we've learned. But I was curious about how Adonai has made your marriage possible. What have you guys seen Adonai do in your lives that's really just made your marriage work?
It's made our marriage work. I can't necessarily put my finger on a specific event for this.
No, no.
Just the process of coming to terms with the reality that I have to get all of my worth, my value, and my identity from him, fill my cup, as it were, from what he thinks of me. Then I can pour into Christy and Danny and others, and then hope, but not need them to do the same for me.
Right.
I want my wife to think well of me. I don't need her to think well of me. I'd love for our relationship to be sunshine, roses, and rainbows, but I don't need that 100% of the time in order to be okay. I'm okay because the King of the universe, who literally hung the sun, moon, and stars for me, for us, he thinks I'm to die for. So if I enter our relationship from that perspective, all interactions will go better.
What are your thoughts, Christy?
Yeah, top that. Just kidding.
It's the competitive nature of things.
She doesn't play Monopoly with me anymore.
I think I did this the other day, but I was mad at you for something. I don't know what.
Justifiably, I'm sure. Whatever it was.
It wasn't actually.
Oh, nice.
I know.
Way to go, me.
I was walking through it, and I was thinking to myself, he doesn't know about this. Why am I having this fight in my head? And it's not even his fault. Like, what am I doing? And and I realized, oh, okay. I've put him on the pedestal again. He's being a bad god, and that's not helpful. So I took you down from that and put God where he should be. So
Good thing I'm afraid of heights. I don't like being up there.
yeah.
Put him back.
Oh yeah, I always do.
How about you guys?
Sorry, that felt really close all of a sudden.
Sorry. You tell. I'm really ready to hear.
I was thinking to me it's foundational. the core of who we are is centered and found in who God is. And like he is like that just starts and finishes all of it. And because of that, like every time things are hard, it's like you go back to that point where you know that God is the center. You know, we don't work unless we're in communion with God and in communion with each other. And it's what keeps things going, because things aren't always great. You know, there's other things in life. It has nothing to do with like necessarily strife between us, but like life can be hard for a lot of reasons. And knowing wholly and completely that God is at the center of what he has established in us.
We were doing premarital counseling with this pastor, and he asked a question, and I looked at him and said, I don't know how you could ask that question, because my answer is going to be in the negative. And he says, well, then that's not a good thing. So I said, well, if I'm going to take the question, would we still get married if God wasn't in our lives, as some sort of qualifier for us getting married? I think it tends to betray reality. It betrays the reality that takes place when God actually comes into our lives and makes the changes that he has made, or else I would not have been in the place where I first saw her, or she wouldn't have been in the place where she first saw me. And as a result, it's all the more foundational in that I am who I am because of God. And I cannot, if you're going to ask me if I would do something without him, I can't really process that, because he's such an integral part of my life.
And integral to our relationship the whole time.
Oh, absolutely. One of the things we did when we first started, well, we weren't even dating. We were conversing.
AKA pseudo dating. I've named this period of time.
We had some serious pseudo dating time too. Yep.
Yeah, you ask anybody when I describe it, and they're like, you were dating. And when he describes it, they're like, I don't know what that was. So
there's a whole story behind that.
Oh, I bet there's several.
But suffice it to say, one of the things we would do is just talk. I remember it was in February of 2009, and it was I think it was a Sunday night. No, it was a Tuesday night. Tuesday night. Okay, more specificity. Never mind. I'm at work and I get this call, and it just happens to be downtime, and it's her. It's like, what are you calling me out of the blue for? It's like, this is the weirdo Heather Baker calling me. I'm going, what does she want? And there's a whole story behind that. I love her dearly. So we talked for an hour, and it's not just, it was some of the pleasantries, just how you doing, all that jazz. But she called me again the next night, and then after that, the third night, I called her back, and we spent the next several weeks just talking back and forth on the phone. We'd still see each other at church and everything, but we hardly ever watched anything. When before we were dating, and even when we were dating, we were always wanting to talk
about all the difficult subjects too. Like, how do you think about money? What do you think about retirement? What do you think about insurance? What do you think about kids? How do you discipline kids? How do you, what if you can't have kids? What do you do if your family member needs care? the 1,000 difficult situations that you could possibly get to, we had talked about them.
Yeah. Like the 101 questions to ask before you marry book. You guys didn't even need the book.
Yes, correct.
And unlike Gabriel Iglesias, otherwise known as Fluffy, alcohol was not involved. Neither was a camcorder. So we have all sorts.
I don't know that reference, but okay.
I knew I would get that response from the ladies. Gabriel Iglesias has a joke to where if you're going to get to know somebody, you guys get drunk together. You start a camcorder as you record the conversation. That way you have this to draw back on when you're sober and you're able to actually confront each other. That's how you get to know one another. That's how Fluffy thinks it goes. But no, it was always conversation. And I would actually change that. I would also add to that question one other thing. What has been one of our greatest strengths is our communication.
Yes. Imperfect, but yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, very imperfect, but still that's been one of our marriage's greatest strengths. What is one of your marriage's greatest strengths?
I have to answer this like a job interview. Like,
Take a weakness, make it a strength.
But it's really a strength. And
Yes.
I have no idea.
A humble response.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. There's almost we're both recovering codependents, so almost our compulsory need to resolve conflict quickly. That's actually served us really, really well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's forced us to, like you say, converse about it, be intentional with how we converse about it. We both wear our feelings on our sleeves on a fairly regular basis. And so when we're not careful with our words and we say things flippantly or unintentionally or intentionally sharp, it gets it escalates. It not to the point where we're like screaming and yelling at each other, but you can just see on the other person's face that it had that impact.
Mhm.
And sometimes the fleshly desire is like, yeah, I got her back or whatever. But then there's other times where I was truly just asking for clarification on something. I see all over your face that it landed wrong. So please don't answer that yet. Help me understand what it was that I just said that elicited that response, because that's not at all what I was meaning. So, yeah, codependency has served us well.
No, no, it hasn't.
Okay.
Codependency, and then allowing Jesus into it and to use the micro expression reading skills and the yeah. He
Okay.
redeemed it. That's what I'll say.
There we go.
Okay. That's a great answer. So
I've got a question.
You got it. Oh.
I've got a question.
Oh.
What is something that you admire about your spouse and like how they operate, like character, like a character trait?
Organization. Don't even have to think about it.
Yours?
I don't have any.
Piling is what.
Hey, a pile is an organized stack.
Mm-hmm.
And if it goes into a drawer or a cabinet or somewhere, it is literally out of sight, out of mind, and it won't get done or paid or taken care of or whatever it needed to happen. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So anyway, her organization. We're at the point, so we've moved 4 or 5 times in the last year for a variety of circumstances, but I just let her go to town on it, especially now that we have a kid. I'll take care of Danny. You put in your headphones. You organize. My only requirement is that I get a tour afterward because I need to know where things are.
Oh gosh. Yep. Oh. I'm good at the tour.
You are.
I do pretty well.
Yep.
Okay. Gosh, what? Okay, this is gonna sound really cheesy, but like I'm actually having a hard time narrowing it down.
Oh,
No, I know.
I love you.
Okay. I
So
love-
romantic.
I know, very romantic. Gosh. I
Honestly, enough said.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I really can't narrow it down. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll
I
go.
don't know.
That way you can have a moment.
Yeah. Yeah, please.
No,
Yeah,
and
same question
all,
to you guys.
Yes. In all seriousness, the thing I admire in him the most is his ability to genuinely and completely apologize. Like his ability to recognize when something didn't go well, stop, say I'm sorry, and like really rectify the situation. And that I never witnessed that growing up, or like that wasn't like saying I'm sorry, like was not like even in the vocabulary of my family, right? It wasn't, I mean, you know, you bump into something or whatever, you're like, I'm sorry, but like genuine, like I hurt your feelings, apologies didn't exist. So the fact that he models it so well and with such great character, it's like, I don't know, like if I have that moment where we get frustrated and we need that, you know, couple minutes apart, I don't know, maybe I have to work, maybe I have to go do something, you know, pick up a kid, whatever it might be. And you just kind of have to put it on hold, right? Like whatever it is just on hold. And then you get back and like the first thing he'll do if there was any part of it that was on him, it's like, I'm really sorry I did that or said that. And it's like clockwork. It's amazing. And it's so genuine that it just floors me every time. And it makes like any disagreement so much easier when, you know, like you can apologize to each other afterwards. Yeah. So I've learned a lot from that as well and try to do more of it, although I am a work in progress.
You go next, Christy.
No. Josiah, go next.
Well, there's a few, two especially. One of the first strengths I saw in her was her consistency, and it was interesting how somebody else saw it. My dad, having had 5 kids, whenever one of us got interested in somebody, he would take initiative and go and start asking people, hey, what do you know about such and such? Well, Heather had been part of a church that we became a part of. My extended family did before I did. And so when we were getting very close, he asked me one day, so what do you think of Heather? I said, well, I think she's an extraordinary woman. A woman with extraordinary strength and consistency. And I have, and there's great reasons for that. And he said, well, I did my thing. It's like, okay, so what'd they say? He said, well, Josiah, you know how I go to 20 people. I said, yeah. Well, I went to the 20, and usually there's 3 out of 20 usually who have something a little on the negative side to have to say, like, well, they could improve in this way, or if they were, this is an issue where they have maybe with time. He said, I got to the 20 and not a single person had a single negative thing to say. So I actually did something he never did with any of the other in-laws. He went to 25. Then he went to 50. Then he ended up asking every single member of that church very quietly, just very carefully, hey, what's your thoughts on Heather Baker? And he said, Josiah, I have never in my entire life ever had an opportunity of knowing a person such as Heather Baker.
Wow.
Not a single negative thing was said about her. And her strength of consistency has been grounding for me because of just some of my own weaknesses. But another great strength of her is her empathy. And that was one of the first things I fell in love with her over. Because I'm going to be honest, for this clarity, I did not trust women. And that is not to be a slam on Christy at all whatsoever, or any specific woman. It was the fact that I had had a lot of bad experiences, and I had a hard time trusting women. And we were not on a date. We went to see her best friend. You even said it.
I know. You're right. I didn't know what was coming next.
It was not a date. But we went and heard her best friend, who was a missionary, give a talk at a church up north. And we come back and we had met in a parking lot for a public transit train. And so we get back, it's what, maybe 11 o'clock ish.
It was late.
Yeah,
It was late because it was far enough away that driving time took quite a while too.
Yeah. So we get back and we're still sitting in the car, and then we're still sitting in the car. We're still sitting in the car
Talking.
And and just any number of stuff. We were just talking about her best friend and everything, and our conversation accidentally got interrupted by what we called I think it's funny. A guy showed up. And he said, "Oh, I go around at night and I find grocery carts. I take them back to the stores and I get a small little bounty on them." I was like, "Oh, okay. So you're the midnight cart rider." He said, "Yep."
So here's what's funny. So this is like him being him, and it's very eye-opening. We're talking in the car, doors are shut, right? Which isn't the greatest part of town. I wouldn't have been there if he hadn't have been with me, kind of thing. But what he does is he sees this guy with the cart. He's like, hold on. Opens the door, stands up. Hey, what are you doing? Like cross the parking lot. Oh, I collect carts. Like this is him, like introducing himself like crazy. Another thing that he does all the time.
Yeah. But that night, after telling her some things I normally wouldn't have told anyone, woman, man, didn't matter. It just wasn't stuff I usually share. She started crying. And I had never seen somebody react to me in my experiences like that ever. And it was the deepest form of empathy I'd ever experienced from anyone in my entire life. And yeah, so sorry, I can't keep. Okay, you got another question?
No.
Okay. Well, I've got one last question. What is one of you guys' favorite shows to watch as a couple?
Clarify. With or without our child? Because we watch a lot.
That's a very good question.
A lot of Phineas and Ferb. And those are great shows. So
okay, yeah. So with child and then without child.
That was so weirdly put.
Yes.
I think with Danny around, I think we all enjoy either Bluey or Phineas and Ferb the most.
Yeah, those are the two go-tos.
Yeah.
Sorry, what's the second one you saying?
Phineas and Ferb.
Phineas and Ferb.
I don't know that one. Okay, cool. All right.
It's fun.
It's a fun one.
Yeah.
It's a Disney one.
Yeah.
They
All
have
right.
a pet platypus that's teal. Enough said.
Oh, that. Okay, so that's what it is. I was at Creators of the Moon National Monument, and the girl behind the counter says, "You know what? Your shirt makes me think of Phineas and Ferb." I said, "Well, what does that mean?" "Well, you've got this very. I usually wear my hat, and it's like that." And she said, "You got a duckbill hat with a shirt. You could be whoever it was off that show." I was like, "Okay." Was one of the most random things I've ever been told in my life. But, okay.
You're welcome.
Okay. Yes, thank you.
It's a fun
one. When Danny is not with you, you watch?
We used to watch a lot more TV.
Yeah.
Now we put Danny to bed and go, "You want to have an early night?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
That.
So, but we used to binge watch quite a bit. Now we watch some Doctor Who.
Yeah.
We just kind of got through a phase of watching. I always get the name wrong. I always call it Tim the Toolman Taylor.
It's Home Improvement.
Home Improvement. That's the one. It works. Everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Yep.
So we watched, I think, 8 of the 10 seasons of that or something.
I think there's one.
Well, we nailed it.
There you go.
So we watch comedies. We like British humor. I know not everybody does, but we like British humor. Not a lot of reality TV.
Yeah. Yeah.
We went through Sherlock. That was pretty good.
Oh, the one with Benedict Cumberbatch?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And Martin Freeman. Okay.
So, yeah, that's my
In our glory days. we
answer,
used to
non-answer.
watch-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of it's like, what have you not binged recently? So you can be
I
binging it
know.
right now, right? Like,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
for our family time, I would say the family's go-to is either the show Reba
Yep.
or Home Improvement
Uh-huh.
or America's Got Talent, because I can't
Okay.
stand what's the America's Funniest Home Videos. I hate that
Oh,
one.
yeah.
I can't handle that one. I also don't do the whole like YouTube scrolling thing. Like that's not my thing.
Mm.
Like
Okay.
it just, and it's funny because America's Funniest Home Videos came out long before YouTube, but it has the same air
It's the
about
same
it.
Same
thing.
thing.
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, you may not do the YouTube videos, but you definitely do the DIY
Shows.
news
Yeah.
feed.
Eh,
Mm.
News feed. I mean, the next thing I know, I get dozens of text messages going, "Hey, honey, wouldn't this be great?"
But that's not family time. So when it's just us, what do we watch?
Okay, so I was going to actually comment that Reba has probably been. It's kind of a toss up for Reba and Home Improvement being number one with our kids.
Okay.
Because
We've been through Reba more times, so I think it wins.
I would agree that we watched Reba all the way through at least 3 times now with the kids, and that one's the one that we all laughed just so hard with. Van is such a Jim Carrey for television. So, anyways, let's see. So we have done Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
We're currently doing Covert Affairs with Piper Perabo. She is a big how should I put it? Kind of a CIA secret agent sort of nut. I bought her a
James Bond kind of style things.
Yeah, I bought her a box set of the James Bond DVDs, and
Oh.
so she really enjoys that stuff.
Like fake crime, not real crime.
Sure.
My day life deals with real crime. My nightlife is fake crime.
Fake crime. Did you ever watch Person of Interest?
Yes, but it's been a while. I am terrible. Here's what you need to know about me. I don't recall squat from videos, movies, anything. Like I watch them and it goes into the part of the brain that says, forget, delete it, end of night. Like it is like the
Oh.
recycle bin of my mind. Like it cleanses and purges. So, I mean, I remember it when I start watching it again, but I do not have like recall memory of like anything video for the most. There's a handful of exceptions.
Yeah,
But
sure.
That's true. You did remember, I'd forgotten that we had seen all of the recent Night Court show, the new one.
only because I read the description of the last one. But I remember that.
Yeah, but I will I will not get specific. We're driving away from a theater after watching a movie, and it had been the 5-minute marker. Her memory's been reset. It's back to 51st dates for us. And she looks at me and goes, "That was funny." I said, "What was funny?" "Release the baby." I was like, "What?" And then she said, "I don't want to lose my protective layer." I'm going, "Okay, you're quoting Cruise that we just saw." She goes, "I know, right?" And then next thing I know, she says, "Oh, we don't eat that."
No. The question is, what is a pet? And the boy says, well, a pet is an animal you don't eat. And the response from the family was, "Oh, we call those children." Like that.
Right.
That's fine.
I forgot about that.
Those are
was
my
a
3
great
lines.
movie.
That's like
Yep.
the only 3 lines I can quote from virtually anything ever.
Ooh. Oh, I've got a question now. What is the last movie that you guys saw together in theaters?
Oh darn it.
Okay. Wait. No, have we been to Lewiston Theater together?
Yeah, actually we were. Although I will tell you a short story in a minute about an experience we had watching a movie together with her and her roommates, her former roommates at a movie. So yes, we were in Lewiston Theater. We've seen We saw oh good grief. What's that guy? He's got the minions.
Despicable Me,
Despicable Me.
Yeah,
number
Despicable Me 3. I think that was the last movie
3,
we saw
4.
together.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know they had a 3. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I think there's 4.
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
There's a movie just about the minions. And so
Oh yeah, the
there's a
Minion
total of
movie.
4 of them.
Rise of Gru.
Rise of
Rise of
Gru. That's it.
Baby Gru or Child Gru. Okay. No. So we have our little $2 theater in town. You can go for
Okay.
$2 a person and get a popcorn and a drink for another $2. So like it's like an $8 date night. But we
fantastic.
have not gone
Yes.
just the two of us though. I can't remember the last just the two of us movie.
Oh, darn.
Maybe when we were at my I couldn't tell you.
All right.
What
about you guys?
We involve the kids so much in that it's
Sure.
just that's just a part of our lives that just kind of fades.
Yeah.
It
And your
really
kid's being a little bit older than Danny is, and by
Yeah.
a little bit I mean
sure.
5-ish years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can go
So-
watch more stuff, and they can stay entertained in the theater the entire time, and so that makes
Right.
sense.
Right. Like when Joel was a baby, I'd sit there and watch Band of Brothers, and he's playing with his Legos, completely oblivious to the whole thing. But yeah, these days, no.
Yeah.
What was the last movie you guys saw in theaters?
Was it? What is that called? Is it in City? No.
Was Nefarious the most recent
Nefarious.
one?
Yeah.
Okay. Nefarious. It was
Okay.
are you familiar?
No.
It was a Christian movie about a prisoner on death row, and he was to be executed at midnight. And so they were sending in the psychologist or psychiatrist to do his final evaluation to make sure that he's in his right mind and can stand the punishment for his crimes. But the twist is the psychiatrist is an atheist, and the inmate who's sentenced is demon possessed. And so the demon through this dude is having a theological smackdown with this atheistic doctor, and it was very well done. Pretty darn good fair depiction of demon possession without it being like super weird, like The Exorcist or
sure.
no heads are spinning around. There's no projectile vomit or anything. That's it's fairly accurate to what demon possession can look like. A couple of small theological, but for the most part, it was a terrific movie. Good and suspenseful without being scary.
Yeah. Well, I guess the last question I'm going to ask is: do you guys want to have any more kids?
What?
Yep.
Sorry, that felt very personal.
We've known each other long enough. We can do that. That's fine.
Okay. Okay.
We do.
Yeah, no is our answer, by the way.
Oh, okay. We get asked fairly regularly, so it's
It's
fine.
true.
We're so used to
For-
it by now.
Forgive me, audience members who might consider that a personal question. But we've enjoyed our time tonight. This has been an absolute blast. We're glad to have our better halves on. Thank you, Christy,
Yep.
for joining us. Thank you, Heather, for joining us.
Yes.
Thanks for not embarrassing me too much. Anyways, so if you have any questions, comments, or your own thoughts on some things we've talked about tonight, please feel free to message us at beardedbiblebrothers@gmail.com. And before I say goodnight, I want to make sure we credit the person for the name of our podcast.
Who?
You
Me?
and Christy.
What?
We wouldn't have had this idea unless that you guys
Oh.
both.
The idea to do the podcast.
No, it wasn't.
Got it.
It was definitely Christy's idea to do the podcast. You definitely went, yes, let's do that. Then you said you should name it Bearded Bible Brothers. And Christy said, that's a great name. That's what you should do. And so here we go.
Remember most of that.
See how
So
good
we-
we are? We don't even know.
So
You
we want to
two
thank.
nailed it without even trying.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we want to thank our sponsors. Thank you, our sponsors, for making this show happen. And we look forward to our next episode. Take care.